Hey guys, what I wanted to show you here today was the process for setting up in user mode, sport mode, and beginner mode. Right now this i650 from RC Logger is in the sport mode, and I'm going to default it back to beginner mode, and I'm going to show you a quick little hover in my garage here, and then we'll go through the process again and put it back to the sport mode. So to start off, I have the RC Logger interface cable that's a USB, plugs right into the control board on the i650. I've got a battery and I've got the quad. So on the control board, I'm going to set dip switch number 3 to the on position. I'm going to take the cable and plug it into the control board. And lastly, I'm going to plug a LiPo battery into the quad. It is possible to power the control board off your USB port, but it really doesn't put out enough current, so it's needed to hook up the additional LiPo battery. So I have the software loaded on my laptop, and if we start it from the beginning here, I'll show you. If we double click it, it'll come up with the RC Logger screen. I'm going to hit read version right now, and as you can see, possibly I'm at firmware version 6.0. That's the most recent one that's out. I'm going to go into configuration mode. It comes up with a whole bunch of values that you could set. I will then say read data, and as you can see right now, it's set to the sport mode. There's no exponential at all built in. So I'm simply going to hit the beginner button. I hit beginner. It loads up the beginner values. And I then say transfer data. And it says successfully transferred. I hit OK. Unplug the interface cable from the control board. Put it to the side. Disconnect the battery. And we're ready to go. So the next step is before you're going to fly it, you need to put dip switch number 3 back to the off position. That's now complete. I have dip switch number 2 into the on position because that's the user mode. So the only dip switch on for me is dip switch number 2. Put the battery back in here. Turn the remote control on. Plug the battery up. Wait for it to bind, and you're pretty much ready to go. So we're not going to fly from here. I'm going to move the camera, but I'll show you that if we hit the rudder to the left when it's in the off position, it'll start the startup sequence, and we have the quad going. And to shut it off, we push it to the right and hold it, and it's off. So let me reposition, and we will try hover and see if this is how stable it is, and then we'll go to the sport mode and see the difference. Okay, here we go. Again, we're going to the left rudder. We'll give it a little throttle here. Bring it off the ground. As you can see, it's pretty stable. Still has some agility to it. Okay, and to shut her down, right rudder, and she's off. So let's go back to the next sequence now. That was a fairly steady flight, very tame and calm, but still had a little bit of agility to it if I wanted to move it around. So let's bring it back onto the bench and set it back up for sport mode, and then check out the difference there. Okay, as you can see, the quad is still on. So I'm going to disable the battery here and take it out so that I can gain access to the dip switch. Again, I'll shut the remote off. To go into programming mode, you need to have dip switch number 3 in the on position. So we're going to set dip switch 3 again. to the on position. I'm going to hook up the cable here. I'm going to plug my battery back in. And I'm still into the program here, so I'm simply just going to hit read data. And it successfully read from it, so I didn't need to restart the program or anything. So we're still into the screen where we set for beginner mode. It had an exponential of 50 on elevator and 50 on aileron, and the elevator factor, aileron factor, and yaw factor were set to 1 in the beginner mode. So we're going to load the sport values. Sport values, there's no exponential, and your elevator factor has been increased to 10, your aileron factor is increased to 10, and your yaw factor is increased to 20. So an increase of 9, 9, and 19 higher. So again, we've loaded those values. We're simply going to hit transfer data. It's done. We're going to click OK. I'm going to unplug the interface cable. I'm going to unplug the battery. I'm going to set dip switch number 3 to the off position. Again, I still have dip switch number 2 to the on position because I'm running in user mode. I'm going to put the battery back in here and strap it back down. Turn the remote on. Plug the battery in. Wait for it to bind. Looks like I'm bound. As you can see, we'll do a left rudder again here. Spools up. I'm going to shut her back down. And let's move the camera and place the quad on the ground. Okay, the difference here is sport mode versus beginner mode. So it should be a lot more agile. We'll have to be gentle in this close quarters. So the yaw rate, everything is much more sensitive. The yaw rate, it really spins. But as you can see, I can still hold it in a pretty good steady hover here. I'm getting a lot of ground effect in here in my small garage. So there you guys have it. Pick yourself up an interface cable. And the Tweaker software is a free download from rclogger.com. Start tweaking the software in the eye.